Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Team Talk. Today we've got some really fun and interesting stuff to talk about, but first we're going to talk about like and subscribe. We're trying to definitely build this channel up. We're doing really well, honestly. Thank you guys so much for everything that you've been, helping, subscribing, liking, commenting. It all helps. So thank you guys for that. Don't forget to come over and check out our Patreon if you are looking to be part of a game. $25 a month will get you access to one of our virtual games. It's a lot of fun. Obviously, you're looking for a good DM. Come on in, play the game with us, and honestly, well worth it, I think. So our Patreon's where that's at. The link's below. But yeah, beyond that, we're gonna get into a little bit more of. We got some interesting news. We got Superstar 2023. We'll kind of break down that and what that is and what that means. I'm sure a lot of you have already heard about it. Then we have a WotC secret meeting that's got everybody wondering what's happening. So lots of questions, a little bit to talk about maybe. All right. So let's start by talking about Superstar 2023. Big shout out to Roll for Combat. I can't even imagine the resources and time and all of the thought that went into getting this whole thing organized. So thank you guys very much. We appreciate you. You're helping everyone. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of interesting stuff. They're doing top prize giveaway, $250. Not the best prize. The recognition, I think, is going to be the best prize. It's a huge deal, possibly getting published and all that other stuff. So
winning.
Yeah, you gotta.
So what it is you guys will submit a monster to them based on a theme. I believe the theme is Elemental Storm this year.
Yep. There's 20 elements. It's all on their website. It's rpgsuperstar2023.com.
We'll have the link below.
Yeah, check it out. There's 20 different elements. You basically, create a monster, and best monster wins.
And this is across all TTRPGs. It's not just for, say, Pathfinder 2. It can be for D&D or whatever game mechanic you'd like to use.
Yeah, that helps actually a lot.
The book here, they did a while ago. They did a book on bestiaries, the Battle of Bestiary Dragons, and I gotta tell you, they did a fantastic job on this book. So they're gonna do a fantastic job with this new one. The art in here is amazing. It's really great. You're gonna like the recognition that you get from this. So if you're thinking about entering, absolutely do.
Definitely. Tell your friends. We are in no way sponsored by them. We just think that it's a fantastic idea. And we highly respect their drive and their contributions to the community.
I myself will be attempting to design something for the competition.
Oh yeah. Watch yourselves. So next we can talk about Drew, you got your book, right?
Yes. I showed it to you there recently. I showed it to you right here. Yes. The Battle Zoo Bestiary Dragons. And I got to tell you, this is a fantastic book. It's got the feats were really well designed, and you've even got awesome art in here. And yeah, if you're thinking about entering, please do.
100%. So should we hash into the secret WotC meeting? Wizards of the Coast are having secret meetings with YouTubers and influencers, and
super secret.
Did I leave the word super out on accident? My bad. Super secret. A lot of speculation. I think they're leaving more questions than answers.
So what we're really talking about is that a couple weeks back, Kyle Brink went on a tour a PR tour with other content creators on YouTube, trying to kind of explain some of the issues that have been happening. And after that, some of these content creators were emailed about coming to a meeting, all expenses paid, to WotC headquarters for some kind of meeting. I think that this is interesting because they're going to invite influencers and content creators. So
We were not invited.
I'm curious if this may divide the community.
Makes you wonder if that was the point, right? Like, what are they trying to just create hype out of nothing, or is there actually something happening? You never know.
We really don't know, but I mean, I don't think WotC would invite. We're mainly a Pathfinder 2e channel, so I don't think WotC would invite us, even if we were big, which we're not. So
You never know. They might try to convert us.
yeah, maybe. I can try.
All right, for our segment of Ask the Game Master, we're going to, as part of our Team Talk episodes, at some point we're going to talk to Nathan and ask him some questions about game mastery. And today's topic, since we're already on the subject of monsters, wanted to touch base with him a little bit on what it takes to create a monster. So we're going to throw some questions. Are you ready? So to start with, a lot of people already know character creation. It's a pretty straightforward process. There is definitely a difference, though, between creating a character and a monster. So can you kind of outline what that difference is?
Yeah. So some of the best life advice I've ever been given, and this applies to really anything, is start with what you know. So if you understand the basics of character creation, spells, things like that, if you've made a few characters, or even when the system came out, the first thing I did is I made a character of every class, just so that I could understand how each of the classes functioned. And once I understood that, and I started reading some of the creatures and monsters that they had, the easiest way to kind of break into it, and this is the same for item creation, spells, really anything, is start with what you already know. So if you're creating a new monster and you have a concept in mind, try to find something similar that already exists, and then just find a way to tweak it and alter it. Kind of like making a character where you have a character concept and you're really just looking for those little things to simulate what it is you want it to do. It's a little bit more complicated for monsters because with this system, each monster feels a little bit different than the other, but coming up with a new game mechanic or a new ability that only that monster can do is what's kind of fun. But then the next challenge as well is trying to find a way to balance it. So the way that I approach that in any given thing, in any given monster, is how many does the party plan on fighting? And how to scale that.
So what do you mean by scale that then? So what kind of variables come into play when you have to make that choice?
What the system really helps with is it has an easy way to balance encounters. So for a standard party of 4 to 6 players, it's a scale of 4. So if the creature level is 4 levels lower or 4 levels higher, it's something that the party can deal with. So you don't necessarily want a lower level party to fight something super high, because the damage output or the status effects or the turn-based economy is just too difficult for them to handle. Even with teamwork and bonuses, it may not be able to work.
That's fair. So even in a larger party, so say you have, like the campaign that we're playing, where you GM, we have 8 characters, right? 7 players, 8 characters actually being played. How do you find that scaling for a large party like that? I mean, is it harder? Is it easier? Do you nerf certain components of the monster given the situation? How does that usually play out?
I usually look at what level the party is, and then I usually in case of your party, I usually go 4 levels higher at the maximum. And I never want any individual monster to be higher than that, because as you found in your campaign, just even a cleric of the same level casting harm on one of them can do a whole bunch of damage. If you have more than one cleric, then you can do that twice around. So the damage output of those creatures or that encounter is just way too much. Even if your party can take it, and even if they can do more damage than what they have for hit points, you have to figure out how much they can actually do and know what your players are capable of, and then scaling it with that.
So really, it's about just making sure that the monster is strong enough to maybe drop 1 or 2 players, but make sure they can revive.
I want to make sure that my players are challenged, but you don't want every encounter to be a life and death battle, because then it just feels too difficult.
Every once in a while, you just have to have a player go down, though. It just It adds to that. It adds to that. And I'm not trying to sound like menacing in any way, but man, does that really heighten the experience? Because I've had pretty much every character I play, I go down at some point, and changes the entire scene of the battle, because all of a sudden now everyone's focus changes for a moment. Things have to change. People move. It's very challenging. And that's why I think the teamwork aspect is super important. But if your players aren't going down every once in a while, probably be a little harder on them, I would think, right?
But yeah, but you don't want it every fight, because that just becomes a slog.
Yeah. I think it's important that your players feel like they're making progress. You don't want every fight to be a end of the world fight, but at the same time, you definitely don't want to make them feel safe. I'm just saying. I mean, I might once in a while tease my players with a TPK. I don't know.
He hasn't done that to me yet, but why I'm waiting.
So I have a question for our game master here. What I have trouble with whenever I try to create unique monsters is coming up with ideas for unique abilities for my monsters.
So how I would approach that is no different than I think somebody that makes characters. You may have a concept in mind. So, for example, your terrain master druid, I might have a concept that I want that monster to be able to alter terrain, or to impede the player's movement in some way, or to min-max something, one small aspect of the game. Or maybe you want that monster to give them a rare status effect or a rare condition. It just depends. And again, this is why I say you don't want your characters to feel too safe, or you don't want them to get overconfident that I've built this min-maxed, very strong character, I don't have to worry about anything. Well, there's a counter to everything. And you can take that confidence and at least bring it down a couple levels and say, you're not as safe as you think. So I guess to answer that question is much like if you were, say, to make a monk and you want them to have a particular kind of style or a particular kind of attack, you approach monster creation the same way. You want them to have a specific ability or effect on your players that only that monster can.
So does that also include, like, when do you have a rule book to, when you give them special abilities, how do you know what to nerf to balance that character or that monster then? Like, is there just is it just like a logic thing? Try to bring physics into play, and say you have a fire-based elemental character or something like that. So you make them, and you nerf them in the sense that, they're extra weak to specific types of damage. And like, how do you figure out?
It's a little different. Like, if I know my players and I'm creating a specific monster for them for that encounter, I'll approach it one way, versus if I'm just, going about my day and daydreaming and thinking about a monster and a particular ability, I'm just going to create that monster and put it at a certain challenge rating, and then I'll save it and then maybe use it later on. It just depends on the immediate need or when the need for that creature is.
All right, so last question about monsters. So do you play test your monsters?
That's part of the process of creating it. I try to think of ways of countering different scenarios. So I don't specifically play test with anyone else. I might ask for advice, but ultimately the play test is really the first run that I use it. So hopefully I've done my job and balanced it well enough. But if I find certain things seem overpowered, but I made the challenge rating low, I might then, I kind of learn as I play it, and I kind of adjust things to where I think it needs to be fair.
If there's a new book out, like for instance, Treasure Vault, say, that just came out, I'll usually look at that, or I'll look on Archives of Nethys. Sometimes though, an idea will just come to me, maybe something happens in my life that just gives me an idea for a build or something like that. Bottom line though is, I come up with a concept. I usually, do the research for it and just kind of go from there. I mean, I can give you an example here. My last teamwork build is perfect for this video because we are talking about elementals. So, yes, the elemental werebear. What I did for that was I looked in the treasure vault and I saw the what is it called? The Ursine Avenger Hood. And I thought, that's really cool. I want to do a build on that. So then my next thought was, okay, what am I going to do with this build? And my next thought after that was, okay, what is everybody going to do with this build? What is the quote unquote optimal thing to do with this build? And what I came up with was that everybody's going to want to play one of three things with this archetype that comes with the Ursine Avenger Hood. They're either going to want to go unarmed fighter, monk, or animal instinct barbarian. And the thing about that is I don't want to do any of those because that's what everybody's going to do. And that's not what I want to do on this channel. I want to build interesting builds for you guys that do work as a team. And while I do think that the Animal Instinct Barbarian would be a good thing to do with the Ursine Avenger Hood, I feel like that's what a lot of people are going to do. So I looked through the classes and I realized that, yes, Barbarian is the way to go, but I want to do something different. So then I looked through the instincts for Barbarians and I realized, hey, you know what? Would be really cool? An Ursine Avenger Hood build that could do elemental damage. Basically transform into a werebear that can do elemental damage. That would be very cool. So then I was looking at the dragon instincts. And, I was like, okay, but which dragon? And the bottom line was, I looked at the elements and I'm like, wait a second. The Thule heritage covers a lot of these elements. So I thought, why not be able to do some extra elemental damage? Why not be able to do all different types of elemental damage? So then I looked at the Thule heritage, and I was like, the only element that isn't covered by the Thule heritage is acid. So I'm like, okay. Now I can choose black or copper to get acid damage on top of the Thule elements. That's great. And then it just kind of went from there,
Yeah, honestly, it sounds like it's just basically you trying to stay off the beaten path and just kind of be unique with your builds. So people are when people are watching your build videos, they're seeing something that every other character creator isn't doing. Yeah. All right, guys, that does it for today's episode of Team Talk. So thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And most importantly, please leave us a comment. We want to know what you want to hear about, any questions you have, questions for any of us. It doesn't have to be a GM question. It could be literally about anything. Or if you just want to contribute something that you think is interesting, we want to hear it. So that's basically that. So we got some links below. Check them out. RPG Superstar. Check out their website. Get involved in that. It is super cool, and I would love to see this thing coming back every year and getting bigger and bigger. I think we all would. So that does it for today. So thank you guys so much for watching. Have a good one.